ELI 5. Why does skin cancer rarely metastasize, and why is it generally less deadly than internal cancers? Is it because they are usually caught earlier, or because the skin is the largest organ and can handle cancer more easily than the smaller internal organs? Dermatologist here. I haven't seen the big reason here. Cancer is a mutation of normal cells. But even then, most of the genetic programming of the cancer cells instruct it to do what they normally do. For example, basal cell carcinoma, the most common cancer in the world, originates from the basal layer of the skin. These cells will activate/replicate to replenish the skin and to heal cuts/wounds. So in basal cell carcinoma, the cells are trying to heal a wound that doesn't exist. The cancer cells aren't trying to go and spread throughout the body because it's skin and it programmed to stay in the skin. So you would need more and more mutations for the basal cell carcinoma to deviate from its original programming before it can metastasis. Same thing with cutaneous squamous cell carcinomas. We can broadly categorize SCC into well-differentiated, moderately differentiated, and poorly differentiated, which is essentially how much the cancer looks like a regular skin cell. The worse or more mutations the SCC has, the less it looks like a regular skin cell. Well-differentiated SCC can even make keratin. Poorly differentiated SCC look nothing like regular skin cells, rarely make keratin, and are significantly more aggressive. As a rough rule of thumb, that applies to most cancers. It's very rare, but you can get heart cancer. But they don't tend to spread. Why? Because normal heart muscle isn't programmed to replicate, which is also why heart attacks are so deadly, it's tough to heal from them. Colon cancer? Normal cells in the colon are constantly replicating and absorbing nutrients. So you need a lot less mutations in those cells for the cancer to start replicating uncontrollably and stealing nutrients. But it's more than that. The intestines, liver, bladder, pancreas, etc. all come from the same group of cells during development as an embryo. So to a mutated colon cancer cell, the liver won't look too different than the intestines, so it will think it is in the right spot. But in skin? Oh no, we are in the wrong spot, so let's not grow here, unless it has a lot of mutations. Now melanoma can be very aggressive and have a high tendency to become metastatic, despite coming from the skin. Why is that? So we got to go all the way back to embryology. We start off as is essentially a three-layered tube. The outer layer is called ectoderm, which becomes skin. The middle layer is called the mesoderm, which becomes the muscles and blood vessels. The inner layer is the endoderm, which becomes most of the internal organs. At the top of that tube, you have something called the neural crest. This ends up being the origin of a significant portion of the peripheral nerves. So they are programmed to spread throughout all three layers of that tube. Now melanocytes, the cells that make pigment, and the origin cell for melanoma, also come from the neural crest. One could argue melanocytes are closer to nerves than skin cells. So when melanocytes get mutations, it doesn't take much for it to try to go back to its original programming, which is to spread throughout the body. Just like all those nerves did when the body was a three-layered tube. Definitely not for a 5-year-old, but hopefully this is helpful for someone who wanted more info. I definitely simplified some things, but let me know if something doesn't make sense.